Well, hi everyone. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Friday lunchtime, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with feelings. And I'm hoping that you all had lots of them this week because feelings are yours, and feelings are absolutely great, and they are just that, feelings. And one of the things I talk about every week is know that if it's a feeling, you can control it. And I think that's a very positive way to look at life, right? If you have any feelings, be they positive or negative, to know that you can control them because it's a feeling. You can't control the things that happen to you, but you can control your feelings. But today we're going to be talking a lot about patience. Not one of my greatest qualities, as some of you know, but I wanted to talk about patience because it's been an issue with me this week, and I thought maybe it has been with you as well. And somebody once said that patience is not the ability to wait, it's the ability to keep a good attitude while waiting. And as some of you know, keeping a good attitude can get a little bit, difficult. All right, so I just wanted to give some updates just before we start on talking about patients. Hi there, Jody. For those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin, and a very patient admin as well, I might add. I wanted to just show you that last week I planted some tomato seeds. Look how far they've come up already. All right. And literally, I took one of these grape tomatoes, halved it, and squished it inside, or both of them, the two halves. I just squished the seeds out. And look how many seeds I've got growing in a week. Isn't that amazing? And by the way, this is my little hydroponic system, or self-watering system, rather. Um, I just got a piece of face cloth. And as you can see, it starts right there and then feeds all the way down into the water. And therefore, it's constantly sucking up water and keeping the seeds moist. But I thought I'd show you that. And literally, I just cut one of these in half and squished it. Now I've got to eat that, right? Because it's here. Sure. Second reminder, Jody and I think that I've been growing these chives in this bottle for over a month. The reason I wanted to just show you that these, I actually wrote on the glass that this was, I cut these first on January the 25th. I don't know if you can see that. But what I wanted to show you is each time I cut them like this, you will see they start to regrow. Can you see the little regrowth there? And what will happen is each time they regrow, they will get a little thinner and a little thinner. And then that's, this one is, I'm probably going to put this one out in the garden eventually. You know what I mean? Let it continue its life, but in the garden. But you can see that it starts off that thick. And then because I keep cutting it, I get these very nice thin ones. And so during the week, I can choose whether I want fat ones or thin ones, because, I like choices. And you guys won't be surprised because it's me, but here I am getting ready to plant potatoes. I've left a couple of my potatoes to start growing on their own, and they're going to go in the garden. I will cut them up. This I'll cut into 3, and it's amazing. So quite happy about that. I hope you've had a good week and that your feelings have been good and that you've been patient. For those of you who don't know, DearMamaSal, it's not just me, it's a group of people who get together, and some of them stay in the background. And that's quite all right. We are delighted to have you with us, and we love it when you pop in and say hello, or tell us about your story, because it really is nice to know that you are there. I know you're there because I can see you, not physically see you, but I know how many people are lurking in the background. So a very warm welcome to you all, and thank you for being here. I know some of you choose to listen and do other things while you're doing that, but the main thing is thank you for coming to learn with us. And as I said, Dear Mama Sal is not just about me. It's a group of people who get together and we talk about our life, because we want people to know that it's not just on them. You're not the only one that struggles with patience or anger or frustration or betrayal or any of those things, right? We all do. And what we try to do is talk to you about it and let you know how we cope with it. And that's the important thing. So remember to follow us on Facebook or Twitter. And we use that as sort of our announcements go in there. And obviously give us a thumbs up here if you hear anything that is of value to you, which hopefully will be a lot. Give us a thumbs up, press the bell, say that you want the notifications, because if I have to cancel a broadcast, I will do it on Facebook, Twitter, and on here. So very important. And by the way, just in case anybody is under a misconception, I am not a doctor or a therapist or anything like that. The information you're going to hear from me is either because I have lived long enough to learn these things, or because I've been researching it or whatever. But don't think that I am a professional person in this, because I'm not. Thank you for your patience. We just got a couple of thoughts and prayers, and obviously some upcoming things. Now, we know Valentine's Day is coming up, and I wondered if any of you have any feelings about Valentine's Day. Now, some of you will have had, some of you will have had positive feelings about Valentine's Day coming up. That's if you're in love. And some of you will have some negative feelings. That's if you're just out of love. And some of you will have sad feelings about Valentine's, and that would be if you lost somebody you love. And so perfectly normal to have that. And I'd love to be able to talk about it with you. For those of you who don't know, we've got the Super Bowl. First of all, we've got Valentine's Day coming up on the 14th, but we've got the Super Bowl coming up as well on the 13th, the day before. And so what I'm going to do this evening in our Coping with Life is I'm going to be doing all sorts of little ideas, hopefully your ideas as well, on bits and pieces to do for Super Bowl eating, because we all want to eat on Super Bowl day, Sunday, right? And for those of you who need to take a note, please know it's the LA Rams versus the Cincinnati Bengals. It's very important. It's all you really need to know. If you know those two things, you're pretty much ahead of the game. Birthdays. I know that we have Jeannie's wedding anniversary tomorrow, as far as I know. So happy wedding anniversary to Jeannie and to York. And I believe on the 17th, we have Beth's twins, Victoria and Catherine. It's their birthday. So isn't that great? If you've got a birthday, if you're a regular viewer, even if you're a regular viewer in the background, all right, please let us know and we'll add you to our database. And my thanks to Lynn, you know who you are, Lynn, for helping me put together fun thumbnails and things. I really appreciate it. All right, so first of all, I wanted to check on your feelings and your patience level on the news story. All right, how about the truckers? I'm pretty certain most of you have heard about the truckers who are blocking the bridge between Canada and the US. By the way, for those of you who don't know, I live in Canada, but most of my viewers are in the US, although they're all around the world. But yeah, a lot of my viewers are in the US. So how do you feel? What is your patience level on that? And how do you feel about it? I just wanted to get an idea. Are you frustrated, angry? Are you concerned? What is your feeling about the truckers? And the reason I wanted to talk about that is, are you losing patience? Do you think that it is time, for things to happen? in a different way. What do you think? And let me have your ideas, because what I'm trying to do is get a sense of where everybody is at on this. I know it's very difficult for people to understand what's going on. And I also understand that for some people, they have no idea what's going on. I was watching a video recently where they were asking what would have been very easy general knowledge questions of people, and it was horrifying, the answers that they got. You began to wonder, gosh, did these people ever go to school? And if they went to school, did they listen to any geography at all? But one of the things that I found interesting was they talked about which is the largest city in the world. And, the answers came in like Asia and Europe. The question was city, not continent. I'm going, I know what it was when I was learning, but I quite honestly, I just realized I didn't know which the largest city in the world was. And so have a guess. What do you think? All right, Jody's coming back on the business with the truckers, and she's saying, quite honestly, I'm losing patience with it. What's the end game? Okay, so what I thought that I would do is to have a sort of discussion from both sides here. Now, the first side is, are you aware of what is happening, in as much as that the supply chain, that's the ability of goods to get to the market, is being severely impacted now. Any goods that normally come up to Canada or come down from Canada, they are now being seriously delayed. And what effect will that have on you? It depends which side of the border you're on. In my case, it's going to seriously affect things like fruit and vegetables, because we get a lot of it coming up through the border from California and stuff like that. And what does get through will be obviously much more expensive. Does that make sense? Because it'll be so little of it that they will charge more to be able to get it. So that is one thing. What worries me, what I'm concerned about, is what else is being held up. For example, pharmaceuticals. If you are somebody that's on medication, for my case, being in Canada, how much of my medication is coming out of the States and up to Canada? And then again, how many things are coming down to you in the States from Canada? Quite a few things, as we know. And so what I said last week was that we are going to concentrate more and more this year again about improving our emotional intelligence. So what I wanted to do was just make sure that we take these situations that are inclined to get us angry or frustrated or lose patience or those sort of things, and then deal and talk about them in an emotionally intelligent way. So what I wanted to just give you a heads up on, if you know that the supply chain, the ability of goods to cross the border, is being held up, you do know it's a good time to stock up on the things that you might need. All right. I don't think this is going to go on for another month, quite honestly, but say it did. Say it went on for another 2 or 3 weeks. All right. The after effect of this would take a while to impact us. So we would start noticing some serious shortages probably in about a month, is my feeling. So think about that and make sure that you've got enough for the next couple of months if you possibly can. Tony Gaskin said, trust the process. Your time is coming. Just do the work and the results will handle themselves. How many of you know that that is part of the problem with patients, isn't it? That we want somebody else to do it quickly for us. Yeah. Jody's saying life-sustaining supplies are being affected. True, Sal. Yes, well, that's my concern. So if you have medications that you are able to refill in a hurry, do it. I'm just busy refilling some of my medications this week for that reason, all right? I want to make sure I've got enough. So that is the first thing. Now then, in terms of our emotional intelligence, do you all understand why they're doing what they're doing? All right? It's not that they just woke up one day and decided they're going to block the border. That isn't what they did it for. You will probably know that Canada has put in some pretty heavy mandates and now said that truckers must be vaccinated to cross the border. Well, good idea, Canada, when you're trying to safeguard the health of, of our citizens. I understand that. But let us, for a second, take a look from the other side. And I want you to give some serious thought for a second about the feelings of the truckers. If you think about it, those are the same truckers that for 2 years have been our heroes, right? When the pandemic hit and we all went into lockdown, who supplied all our food? Who drove the stuff around for us so that we could still eat and do things? The truckers. And did they do it at great personal risk? Yes. Yes, they did. And did they do it when, the original virus, the more death-seeking one, the original COVID, did they do it at that time? Did they do it through that and through, COVID-19 and then through the other one and then Delta? Yes. And now we come down to a variant which is a little stronger than the flu, the regular flu, but unlikely to hospitalize a lot of people unless, you're not vaccinated. So here is the thing. If you look at it from their side, when they were needed and when we needed the goods, we were happy to have them risk their lives and go back and forth across the border. Can you all see that from their side? And now with a variant that is not nearly as strong, more easily transmitted, but not nearly as strong, now they're being told vaccinate or else you can't come across the border. So if you can see it from both sides, can you see that that's causing some truckers to have a problem putting food on the table and feeding their families? And their choice, all right, to be vaccinated or not. We know everybody gets a choice in this. And yes, we know that, a lot of people have died because some people didn't make the choice. But, you've got to look at it and go, as long as we live in a free world, one where we are allowed to make our own decisions to a very large extent, we have to allow for freedom of thought. And if we do need to understand that some people are never going to get vaccinated. Yes, and Jody's adding this. Approximately 83 to 87% of all truckers are already vaccinated. So again, and isn't it amazing? It is always that little group, all right? I always said that, when all that trouble was happening with the January 6th insurrection thing, the majority of the people walking down to the Capitol weren't insurrectionists. They were angry. They were angry and had the right to protest. And I 100% applaud the right to do that. That's why we live in a democracy. But there was this small amount that took it the next step and then broke the law. So you look at it and that's always the way, isn't it? So, but the people that are blocking are both vaccinated and unvaccinated. Why? This is not fair to them. That is how they see it. It's not fair to their colleagues. It's not fair to their families. This is making it impossible for them to do business. Now, I don't know about you, but can you see it from both sides? right? Are you emotionally intelligent enough to go, yes, I understand why Canada brought in the mandate, right? Because they're trying to save costs and make sure people don't end up, a lot of people don't end up in hospital. But it sort of flies against some realities because we're being told less people are getting into hospital anyway. So, it's just like, what are we going to do here? What I believe, and I'm not an expert at these things, but what I believe is we have to come to a win-win. In other words, Canada is going to have to do something to allow those truckers to get off the bridge and bridges, because they're now right across Canada. It's going to have to give them some sort of, olive branch that says, hey, that was our original intent, but now we've decided this, and this. I think it's going to have to happen, don't you? I can't see a way out of it. Unless we come to a win-win. And the truth is, isn't that, if you think about it, isn't that, what most people do when they are protesting? They want to come to a win-win. We would like you to shift your attitude a bit, and then we will shift ours a bit. Does that make sense? I don't know any protesters that are not looking for a win-win at some level. If they can feel, and that is the whole essence of life, is that if we can help people see that you are willing to shift a little in their direction, normally that settles things down pretty quickly. Somebody once said that God has perfect timing, never early, never late, and it takes a little patience, and it takes a lot of faith, but it's worth the wait. I'm hoping that by the time this whole trucker thing has settled down, that we will feel like that, right? We will feel, hey, it wasn't fun, especially for the truckers. And imagine doing that at this time of the year. Hi, Yashi, good to see you. Welcome. And so I would think if we can continue to be patient and trust the process, all right? The process being that they are being heard, all right? They're being heard big time. And isn't it sad? There's part of me that goes, isn't it sad that the only way they could really be heard is if they protested? But that's life. And both countries have that as part of their constitution, that you have the right to disagree. And tell us so. And so, I'm happy that we live in a democracy where we can do that. And I never take that lightly. I guess because I've lived in countries where that wasn't the case. So be patient with them and do what you can. Remember, that's what we always say. It's not what you can't do. It's what you can do. Yashi, just so that I am aware, did you come in to ask a particular question or make a particular comment? If so, welcome anyway. And if not, good to see you. And thank you for coming in. And so I look at it and go, our ability to stay patient and understanding of both sides of this story will change our anger, will change our frustration. And some of you may be angry and frustrated for the truckers, all right, and that the governments are not listening. I would understand that too. Totally understand it. You see, it is what it is. It's a very awkward situation. And we need to just quietly and systematically find an answer to it all. Asadi said, have patience. All things are difficult before they become easy. And I would like to believe, sincerely believe, that that will be the case in terms of the news. Now, it's funny, isn't it? Because there are probably some of you saying, but it's not fair. It's going to affect the cost of things again. And prices are going to go up even more. Yep, it is. And that is part of their bargaining tool, if you like. All right. But if they come up with a quick solution, it won't affect us too badly, but it is going to affect us. So suck it up, know it's coming, and just, do what you can to cope around it. And I think that sometimes we need to dig a bit deeper, all right, inside ourselves to find compassion for both sides. How many of you had already done that processing where you're going, this is how I feel about it, but let me now for a moment see it from the other side and see how far I get down that journey. And then, I don't know about you, but I started to think about, who do I know that is an anti-vaxxer? That maybe is holding out as well. And one of the things that I wanted to let you know is that British Columbia has just put in an even more strict mandate, and that is that now everybody in healthcare has to be vaccinated, including things like dentists and also chiropractors, anybody that deals with patients is now being told you have to be vaccinated. And that sort of scared me a little bit, because I know my chiropractor is anti-vax. And so what I did, as soon as I saw that mandate come in, I wrote to her and sent her a hug and said, I hope this isn't affecting your business too badly. And she wrote back and said, actually, they had made a decision early on to get vaccinated, even though they are against vaccinations, because they knew that this would be putting their clients at risk, and they didn't want to do that. All right, so let's see here. Yashi, just want to make sure, Yashi, I'm going to presume that you understand, if you put a comment up here, that it's okay for me to repeat it. And so if you don't want me to repeat something, please write on there at the beginning, do not repeat. All right. If you just want to tell me something, but you don't want me to repeat it, and it'll stay up on the replay. All right. So yes, she's saying, always good to hear you. Oh, isn't that kind? I just want to convey my regards. When I listen to you, I'm able to take away something good to apply in life. Oh, isn't that wonderful to apply in my life? Like you said, I do trust the process in any phase of life. It's difficult to do, though, Yashi, isn't it? Is to know that everything is unfolding as it should. I had something really frustrating happen to me this week. I'm planning a broadcast for this evening, and one of the things that I did was I had found a tin of water chestnuts, and I try to do broadcasts where I use up things. All right. And I think, I've had that can around way too long. And so I think I will use that up. That'll be a good thing. And I was looking at, things I could do with water chestnuts, a lot of things. So I planned the whole of the cooking tonight around these water chestnuts. Do you think I can find the tin? I can see it. It's got a yellow label on it. I can tell you that. But do you think I can find that tin again? And so then I must admit my cupboards are a lot tidier than they were a couple of days ago, because I've been through my cupboards twice, because I know I saw it in a cupboard. And I'm still looking, right? And I'm going, I don't know what I did with it. And then I thought, well, maybe I took it out and put it somewhere ready for the broadcast, because I'm inclined to do that. So I checked all the places where I would normally put stuff when I, have little cubies that I put things in, and couldn't find it there either. And so then, what if I hold solid to, I have to do water chestnuts this week? I would just be totally frustrated. So then I said, I need to let go of doing things about water chestnuts, or just talk about them, not have them there, because I'm certain everybody will relate to what has happened to me. Makes sense. I think people will be patient with me because they've all had it happen. You have, haven't you? Please tell me it's not just me. But, you and I both know that I'm going to be looking for something completely different in the, near or far future, and I'm going to find them. And then I tie them around my neck or something, to make sure I don't lose them again. But you understand, it's about my attitude. Must I hold on to that thought and that need to cook with warped chestnuts this week, or can I let that go? Yeah, she's saying sorry to hear that, but you got a funny story to tell now. Well, my life is full of funny stories, Yashi. I don't know about yours. I know I'm not that special. It's just like, how could I have done this? How could I have seen the tin? I remember touching the tin, picking it up and going, something, I need to do a broadcast around this. And the question is, where did I put it? The worst thing is, and I don't know if any of you relate to this, I probably put it away somewhere really carefully so I didn't lose it. And guess what? I should have just left it where it was. I would find it again. But it is what it is, and it's disappeared. So understand that part of staying with a good mental attitude is being able to let go of stuff. If I hold tight to the fact that I have to, cook with water chestnuts tonight, I'm going to be disappointed. Or else I've got to go get in the car and go shopping and find another can. Well, really, that defeats the whole object, doesn't it? The reason I wanted to do something with water chestnuts is because I wanted to use it up. So I'm not going out to buy more. Jody's saying, it's not just you. Thank you, Jody. I'm still looking for a few items from 3 shopping trips ago. She's saying our house is the Bermuda Triangle, apparently. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Bermuda Triangle is, that's an area sort of between North and South America. And it's sort of actually it's between Florida, right, and South America. But anyway, what it is, it's a little area there, and a number of different airplanes and ships have just totally disappeared there. Totally disappeared. There's also a triangle, I don't know if you know, there's another one off Africa, just northeast, southeast of Southern Africa. There is another area there where ships just disappear. And some quite big ships have just disappeared in there. So, who knows what causes it? We don't know. But I think what is so confusing about these areas is that these things disappear and things don't come up to the surface and go, okay, well, that was, the ship went down. We know the ship probably went down, but nothing comes back up again. That's a peculiar thing. Anyway, so how about this one? I'm not sure who said it, but it said, be patient. Everything is coming together. And may I ask you, what is it you need more patience about this week, right? Think about it. What is it that you need more patience about? Because when you can see that sometimes we want everything done today, but life wants us to take a little bit more time. That is, I really do believe that it's part of our Zen, if you like. Just hold on 1 second. This is where I thought I had put the pan, but it's not in here. Okay, so last week I was talking to you about the fact that I have a frustration going on in my house where one of my cupboard, my closet actually, has in the center section, my clothes start to smell musty in there very quickly. And I've been doing all sorts of different experiments to find out, is my house holding too much moisture? And I've done lots of tests this week, and the answer is no. Obviously, after I've had a long shower, there is more moisture in the air inside my house. But overall, my house is not damp. All right. It is well within the normal limits. So that is a bit confusing, but it doesn't stop my problem. So then I thought about it and I thought, what I need to do is I need to get something to help me. And I'm going to do different tests with different things. Just before I talk about that, Jody's saying, I've been given the opportunity to practice patience with my pain and giving myself the grace to rest when needed, realizing that it's an important accomplishment in itself. I want to tell you that having patience with your health is huge, isn't it, Jody? I mean, you've been tested so many times, all right, in your life. And I'm aware of that, how many times you have been tested. And every time you overcome a major thing, all right, it's just like you just go, I got over that. And then boom, another thing comes. And so definitely your patience level, even just in being sick, has been phenomenal. But now you add, I am not just sick, but, I am in serious pain. And I don't think those of us who are not dealing with pain on a regular basis understand how debilitating that is, how it, really affects every part of your life. And, I when I was talking to you this week, Jody, I was really aware that just the idea of chopping up vegetables, all right, is a major challenge for you because it's so painful. And I really was brought to a whole new level of understanding of that, Jody, when, I don't know if I told you last week, but when Yvonne was here, I was carving the beef and this thumb locked up in, the tendon got caught, very painful. And also this finger, the two of them cramped. They get your, how do I explain that? Hold on a second. In case anybody doesn't know what that is, let me draw it. Okay, so this is your thumb and these are your fingers. What happens is you've got a tendon that's like a very thin muscle, and it goes through a little sleeve, okay, like this. Okay, goes through a little, runs in and out of a sleeve. And what happens is when it gets inflamed, when it gets, aggravated, this tendon will swell up and makes it impossible for it to slide through that sleeve, which is what causes you to seize. And that happened to me. And I was in so much pain and I could not move this thumb or this finger, and it was just excruciatingly painful. And, Jody, I kept thinking about you and going, you're probably dealing with that all the time. And me, I was just, being such a wuss because it was so painful. And I tried to carry on. And eventually Wade just said, Sal, let me carve. And I went, okay. But I can still feel the pain even talking about it. Yeah, and Jody's saying that's, called tendon sheath inflammation. So sorry to hear about that. Yeah, it's, it's still tender, funny enough. Days later, right, I can still feel that it is tender. But that's enough about me. But what I'm trying to say, Jody, is I admire your patience with your pain. And I am pretty certain that you know what to do about it, all right? You know what works for you. And I think that is part of learning how to live our individual lives. One of the things I know for sure from doing DearMamaSal over the years is that we all have our own difficulties that we're dealing with, all right? And it's not that my difficulties are necessarily less than anybody else's or that Jody's are necessarily more than anybody else's, because we each bear our own struggles as best we can. And it's important to remember that. And those who struggle, I'm thinking about people like Erin, people who struggle really have incredible patience. And why? Because they have to. And I'm pretty certain, Jody, you would tell us you never really intended to get that patient about things. All right? You just know it's the only way you can survive it. To be patient, to slow down, to rest instead of go, 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 go. How about this one? It said that 2 things define you: your patience when you have nothing, and your attitude when you have everything. I've been watching the Olympics this week, as maybe some of you have. And one of the things that blew my mind, completely and utterly blew my mind, was an ice skater from Estonia who was practicing, doing warm-ups and everything a couple of days, just after he arrived, just before he was about to compete, and managed to dislocate a shoulder. Now, that's really painful stuff, dislocating a shoulder. And I want to tell you, most people, if they dislocate a shoulder, are happy to be around, but they are resting up for a long time. 2 days later, this guy performed his ice skating dance, even though he could hardly move I think it was his right shoulder. It was his right shoulder. I'm just trying to replay watching him. His right shoulder. And, you think about just even dancing on the ground. You think about how much you use your shoulders, how often you move both hands when you're dancing. And then think about doing that on ice and go, how much do you need your shoulders to keep balance? And then think about, this guy is pushing off the ice and doing, twirly gigs, double axels and triple axels and attempted quads and all sorts of things on ice, and then jarring, hitting the ice again. And I want to tell you something. He didn't get a great score. He did not get a great score. But you know something? There was no way he was not going to do it. And I thought, I'm missing something here. Why would he have done that to himself? There has to be a reason. And I then checked it out. And the reason was, with tears in my eyes, he was the male ice dancer from Estonia. The only one. He had his whole country on his shoulders. And so there's part of me that went, I think I understand why he did it. And, he trained for 4 years to do this, maybe a lifetime when you think about it, to do this. And this was his moment, and he might never get a chance to do it again. Isn't it? I get that at some level. Jody's saying, Sal, you push through much pain as well. We're all going through our stuff, and we are learning from our trials every day. Your strength is contagious. I'm grateful for that. Well, I really don't think I deal with that much, but, I thank you for knowing that I have my side of the story. Yeah, and Jody, that's what I feel. He carried the weight of his whole country on his shoulders. And it was for him, it was a small price to pay. And you could tell that he would rather compete and not do well than not compete at all. And I'm pretty certain somewhere in the back of his mind, he said, I've got the rest of my life to rest this shoulder. But, I'm trying to think about, how much you use your shoulder to do ice dancing, right? Think about that. Now, a lot of his moves, he did them from the elbow out. He didn't lift the shoulder because he couldn't. Yeah, it was still too painful. But, it was just like, how did he do those leaps? I don't know. I have no idea. But, I just know I sort of wanted to throw up watching him. It was just like, the poor kid. David G. Allen said, patience is the calm acceptance that things can happen in a different order than the one that you have in your mind. Hi, Jack. Yes, this is a live show. Welcome. And Jack is from Pittsburgh. So welcome to you from Pittsburgh. And so you look at it and go, when we understand that sometimes we want to do things today, but it's maybe not the best time. And, wherever that can of water chestnuts is, apparently it's decided it didn't need to be opened this week. That's all I can say, is that it had a mind of its own. And when I find it, I'm going to call it Walter, the can of water chestnuts. When I find Walter, he's in big trouble. But I accept the fact that I'm not going to be able to open that can unless I find it before the broadcast. So look at it and go, what is it you're being impatient about this week? Anything? Any of you being impatient about anything? And while you do that, I wanted to give you... Sorry, I stopped because Jack has just written, "You seem too polite to be an American. Are you a Canadian?" You bet I am. Yes. All right, so I thought I'd read you something from a viewer, and she has given me permission to read it to you. But I wanted to demonstrate something about being patient with yourself. And it says, "Dear Mama Sal," and by the way, if any of you've got an issue that you would like to have me give an opinion on in any way, please write to me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com, or contact me on Messenger or whatever. So the thing was that this viewer, and by the way, if you do write to me, I will always ask permission to read your note or not. And I will always ask permission whether I should use your name or not. And so this particular viewer says, "I know you from Benji and Judy's videos, and I always felt like you had such positive energy and you're such a wise lady. And I've decided to ask you a question. Sorry to disturb you." By the way, everybody, you're not disturbing me. It's why I do what I do. So feel free to write to me. I have a dilemma. I'm currently working as a receptionist on a hotel, but the hotel will close for renovations in the next 4 months. And since I suffer from anxiety when I'm without a job, don't we all? I decided to candidate for the job as a receptionist on a Disney cruise line and got accepted for a 6-month contract beginning the end of January. Well, now the hotel manager from my current work has offered me a job as a sub-manager for when the hotel reopens. My dilemma is really, I want to take the experience on the Disney cruise. However, I feel that if I do accept it, I will lose the opportunity of having a better job position. But I really wanted to have a different experience, such as working on cruises. On the cruise, I will gain more money, but will be alone where nobody knows me. And then she said, "Well, now that I've put it in words, it feels like it's a nothing. And there's no big deal, but my mind doesn't stop thinking about it." And I wrote to the viewer and I said, that is why I ask people to write to me. Because 9 times out of 10, when you write to me, you will already be processing it in a more slow manner, right? You'll have more patience because you need more patience when you are typing. Now, even if you type really fast, which I do, but it slows the mind down. And as you are writing it, your mind's giving you answers. Have you noticed that? And what I quite often do when people write to me is I will hear the question and I will just say to them, "Hey, if I wrote to you with this problem, I wonder what you would advise me to do." And it's amazing how many times they come back with their own answer. Because part of the problem is that we get on this hamster wheel of what if, what if, what if. You can imagine what it was like. All right, I've got this job, but I'm being laid off while they do the renos. And I think I'm going to take this job over here with the Disney line. But if I get on here, maybe I won't have my job back later. And, it's just like, I believe that when you are in a situation like that, and I'm certain we've all had them, that one of the things we need to remember is there are no bad decisions. 5 years from now, you will know there are no bad decisions, whichever course you take. And the reason I say that is it is possible that if you do the one thing, you will lose out on the other. But what if by doing this one, you end up meeting the love of your life, or, getting another opportunity that is second to none, or whatever? You see, you never know what the other is going to bring and what may or may not happen on the first one. And so from that point of view, when you're making the decisions, look, I think they call it the Benjamin Franklin thing. Always look at the pros and cons, right? The good things about going on Disney are da 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 da, but the bad ones are da 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 da. All right, and then look at the current job. Well, what else am I going to do in that 6 months? Well, I could do this, but on the other hand, I won't be making as much money. So if money is important, then obviously I need to go to Disney. So it's an important process. Jack is saying, I'm currently researching on filming a documentary about Canadians. I wanted to ask you, what is living in a third world country like Canada like? Really? All right, and Jack is being kind because Jody was mentioning that she is an American, and Jody is saying, is that true? You seem more kind, and Canadians seem more kind and approachable. I like all things, try not to broad brush a whole nation with one brush, all right? I want to tell you, I have some of the kindest and most generous people I know live in the U.S., all right? Yeah, and Jody is, I've got a feeling Jody's patience got a bit peaked there. She's saying, Jack, Canada is not a third world country. Well, obviously, Jack thinks it is for some reason. So, Jack, before I judge that comment, how about you let me know what makes you think we are? What is it that you makes you think we're third world? And do you know what a first world country is? Jody, I know we covered this in a broadcast once, but I wonder if you could just quickly get me the definition of a first world country so we can repeat it again. Because it is important, because not a lot of people understand the difference between first. And you don't often hear about a second world country, do you? It's like either first world or third world country. Yeah. And it really has interesting connotations with it. And, one of the greatest things, Jack, is that I have viewers that come from all walks of life across all different nations. And I think one of the most challenging things, and one of the things that I've had to be really patient with and make sure that my viewers are patient with, is that I will get a comment from a viewer that I know lives in a third world country, and that we presume that they have the same incredible facilities that we do in a first world country. And it's very, very important to understand that. All right. Thank you, Jody. Jody's saying, and this is the United States, Canada, Japan, South Korea, Western European nation, and their allies represent the first world. All right. Now, I know there's a definition of what makes it a first world country. It's our ability to help others, I think, or something. I'm not quite sure what it is. I can't, hang on a second. Jody's saying the Soviet Union, China, Cuba, Vietnam, and their allies represent the second world. Now, you see, that's interesting. We very rarely talk about second world countries. Some countries in the communist bloc, such as Cuba, were often regarded third world. Yeah. So they're normally countries that need a lot of help. All right. So a third world country would be one that is not self-sustaining to the same degree. But there is another issue. I'll have to look it up, and we'll talk about it maybe tonight or on Sunday. We'll do a bit more research. I know there was a certain, there's something that qualifies you to be first, second, or third. And it has to do with your ability to do something. I can't remember what it is now. But yes, Canada is a first world country, Jack. So, Jack, I'm not sure if you're still with us, but if you are, what made you, were you being funny? Was it about what's going on politically? You had a reason for throwing that out, and I would love to know what it is, because I get interested in things. How about this one? Edmund Burke said, "Our patience will achieve more than our force." All right, being patient will achieve more than being forceful. Now, you can say, well, hang on a second. Would that be right of the civil rights movement? All right. Did they need to be patient, or did they need to protest as they did so many years ago? Or what about Gandhi in India? But he did peaceful protest, right? He never got violent or vicious. He just, was, I think, one of the great peaceful protesters. When the people of the Philippines disagreed with General Marcos, if you remember, President Marcos, you remember, they were patient. They didn't go with guns. They went with flowers. And so you look at it and you go, it's amazing how that. Jack, I got a feeling you got a very nice sense of humor. Jack saying, I read that on Twitter today. Pretty sure it must be true. Right. So we know that not everything we read on Twitter is true. Right? Jack is saying, do I have a PO box number? Jack, if you go to DearMamaSal.com, one of the labels there is the post office box, how you can contact me. I'm not sure if it's on my Facebook. I'll have to double check that. Jody, could you make a note? I know it's on my website, so that's where you can find it. How about this one? Patience is when you're supposed to get mad, but you choose to understand. When you're supposed to get mad, but instead you choose to understand. Now, could I have got mad with Jack calling Canada, a third world country? I could have done. But, two things happened in my mind. Number one was I thought, gosh, I wonder if he really thinks that. Let me check that out. And then I thought, or maybe he's just got a great sense of humor and wants to see what I do when I get insulted. He's got the answer to both now. All right. So I was talking about the ongoing saga about the, what do you call it? The damp problem that I appear to have in one of my closets. And it's not that it is necessarily damp, it's just that they smell musty. So I've done a number of things, right? I've been really making sure. Hi, Sandy. Good to see you. How are things on your side of Canada? What I've been doing is, even though I get things out of my dryer, I have now been putting them on a dryer rack for another 24, 48 hours. Make sure everything that goes into that part of the cupboard is absolutely properly dry. The other thing I got were two different things. I took the advice of, I think it was Kimmy, who suggested that I put in some baking soda. Not washing soda, baking soda. So I put a tub of that in. But in the meantime, I also bought some bamboo. I don't know if any of you have got these. These are bamboo air purifying bags. All right. So this will attract any moisture or odor and suck it in and hold on to it. And the good news is that what you can do is you can recharge this. In other words, in the summer, you can put it out in the sun and it will then end up regenerating itself. Yeah, Sandy's saying it's pretty crazy out there. I'm staying close to home. I totally understand that. Right. So this is one thing I did, was get some bamboo bags. And funny enough, they've been on my shopping list for probably a year. I knew I wanted to get some, but I like these. They've got a little hole in them, so you can hang them over a coat hanger in your closet as well. And it came with little S hooks as well. All right. Have I got one here? Yes. So it came with its own S hooks, so you can hang it in a cupboard easily. I like that. So that's one thing I got. Now, the other thing I got, because I wanted to try different things, is I got these packages. Okay. And I don't know if you can see that it's got little colored beads in there. Let me see if you can get it close enough. Can you see it's got orange beads in there? You can see one of them there. But if you get close enough, you can see others. So this product, when it absorbs the damp, the beads change color. Yep. Jody's saying, is the first one bamboo? Yes. It's called a bamboo charcoal air purifying bag. Okay? Bamboo charcoal. Right? What's charcoal? Burnt wood. So this has got burnt wood in it from bamboo. Make sense? We like that. So this is a silica bag. Now, you're probably all used to getting silica. Do I have one in here anywhere? I keep all mine, yes. You're inclined to, by the way, never throw these little things away. When you unpack something and it's got one of these little silica things in it, don't throw them away. If you've got children, keep them way up high. You don't want children near them, but they are so useful. For I put mine in my herbs, or if I'm not 100% sure that I properly dried it, I will put them in the herbs, knowing that this little silica bag will suck in any moisture that's left. All right, this one I'm looking forward to seeing. Does the bag change color in that cupboard? So that's because you know me now, I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to solve the problem in that closet. And what I found interesting was the hanging clothes don't seem to be affected. It is the clothes that are folded. And let me try and explain. A second. And I want to try and explain this so that you can all sort of understand what's happening, which is that I've got a garage door type thing. I think that's what they call it, right? When it's on rollers, like that. So I got two of them. And I've got these are the two doors pushed to this side. I've obviously got my clothes hanging here, all right, all along here, but right in the center, so this part here, there is a closet, there are a set of shelves. And it's in that segment that we are finding that musty smell on the clothes. So what I've decided to do, number one, is I decided to use one of my other washing products that leaves a nice aroma, which I think is now masking the problem, but it's going to make me feel better, so that's a good thing. The other one is I'm now going to test all these products and see, how it works. And the other thing is, isn't it funny that I've had those things on my to-do list for so long, but they haven't been important enough to get them. So that's what I was talking about, patience, right? I wanted to get them because I think it's a good thing to have in your closet. But, it like wasn't really important, right? I had other things after the fire that were way more important. And Jeannie, hi Jeannie, good to see you. And Jeannie, and by the way, happy anniversary for tomorrow, Jeannie, while I've got you here. What you know is when you've been through a fire and you have to replace as much as we have had to replace, there's certain things that are way more important than others. And, they just didn't come to the top of the list until I got upset about the smell in that closet on my, funny enough, on my t-shirts particularly. The other thing I'm doing now is I'm actually taking a set of 6 t-shirts and then putting a bag. All right, one of those bamboo bags is going down, another 6, another bag. And then what I'm going to do is keep rotating in the wash, keep rotating every week. I got them, I think about 3 or 4 and then a bag. Now I think about it, but I'll just take 3 or 4. So I keep rotating them all the time to make sure that they're kept fresh, which is all that I can think of. And by the way, 2 things on the silica that I wanted to talk about. The silica being the one that changes color. This one. Also, you can refresh it, right? Again, keep it away from children. It will go from orange, those pebbles will go from orange to dark when they absorb water. And then these you can recharge in the microwave. I think it says, or in the oven. Okay? So, pretty easy. Does it say how long? Probably. If it's orange, it's ready to use. If it's dark green, you need to recharge it. To recharge, 2 minutes on each side in the microwave. And then, or you can put it in the oven at 250 for about 45 minutes each side. Interesting, huh? So to my mind, is it worth the money if you can recharge them? Yes. Now, something else I thought about. Being who I am, what is this inside here? Well, it's silica gel. Can you buy silica gel in bulk? Yes. It's called, so stuff you put in your driveway to stop ice forming in the winter. All right. And some of you use silica gel. Maybe if you've got a kitty cat, they have I think a type of silica gel now that's kitty litter. So you can buy it in bulk. And there's part of me that goes, wow. I looked at the price of buying this stuff in bulk as opposed to buying it prepackaged. It was quite amazing. So if you are, don't have children in the house and you can just fill up a container and have it in a closet, maybe buy it in bulk. I like the fact I can see what it's doing. That's just my thought. Okay, so there we go. But can you see that if I am patient, the right time to buy them, even though I've had it on my list, it's on my wish list, the right time to buy them will appear. Jody's saying, I didn't realize it was available in bulk. Well, I was pretty certain that it had to be. Why? Because I have a mind like that. I was amazed. Jody, I think it's called, you can just type in silica gel and see what happens. Ricky, how kind of you to say so. Ricky has just joined us and said, you have a calming persona and you have a great vocabulary. Your judgment and mine. Not many people use the word persona, so that's wonderful. Thank you. You know something? I am delighted that I do. If you find that, that's great. And I'm glad that you find it calming. You want to catch me on a bad day, Ricky. There's some of my friends that will laugh and go, yeah, most of the time. Am I perfect? Oh, no, definitely not. How about this one? Patience is the companion of wisdom. What do you think? Now, for those of you and who know, both Jeannie in the room with us right now and myself went through a house fire in the last little while, in the last year or two. And Jeannie, I know that you will probably relate to this. And if any of you have ever set up your smoke detector, you know how scary that is when that thing goes off and screams, fire, fire, get out, fire, fire. Well, because I've got the most modern ones, all right, mine, and they knew I was pretty hard of hearing, understand that I've got very sensitive ones and very loud. And I managed to set mine off. And I thought I would just say to you all that whilst that is designed to wake you out of any sort of doldrums you might be in, the whole point of a smoke detector is to tell you that your house has got smoke in it for some reason. I don't know about you, but I would like a sort of low-grade smoke alarm that goes, I smell smoke. Is it your oven? You know, how about you guys? I don't need it screaming at whatever decibels, fire, fire, get out of the house, fire. I want the low grade one to start with. I smell smoke. Is it in your oven? You know, how many of you agree with me? Before I have the heart attack, could you please just help me out here? So then what happened was this thing is screaming at me, and I'm running to, wave the smoke away from the detector, and I could not shut this thing up. It was driving me insane. So now, open the doors quickly. Number one thing is turn off whatever is causing it, right? So I turned off the oven. Oh no, I forgot to turn off the toaster oven. That's where it was causing a problem. But I turned it off and whew, the noise stopped. That was wonderful. And then the next thing was it went off again. And I went through the whole process all over again. And then it did it a third time. And now I'm beginning to panic. Is there another thing that I don't know about? Ricky is saying, I don't know if Ricky is male or female, but they're from Kenya, or Kenya, depending which country you're from. So I need to say Jambo, Ricky. Jeannie's saying ours is the same, sensitive and loud. When I forget to turn on and cook something like bacon, oh dear, the sound is awful. Yeah, well, it went off 3 times. And I'm certain you can all imagine, I then thought, is there another fire in the house that I don't know about? Yes, I agree. I wave a dish towel and open the back door and, put on the extractor fans, do everything I can think of. I have to open about 3 doors. But what I've done now is because this thing goes off quite a bit. I've now got a big standing fan that I've taken into the middle of the house. And I am keeping it so that if that thing goes off again, I can point it directly there and, just move the smoke away from the detector while I open the doors, But the reason I wanted to talk about it is, do I need to be patient with it? Is it there for a good reason? Is it trying to save my life? So now, if you think about it, it's not a case of getting angry at the fire alarm. It's about, what do I need to do to stop that happening? Now, you're probably all thinking I must have a really dirty toaster oven. I don't. I really don't. So one of the things that I would recommend now is, if you put your toaster oven on and you've got a drip tray in there, pour water into the drip tray every time you cook anything that might drip, right? Because then the fat will drip onto the water and it won't cause smoke. Good idea? All right, so Ricky's saying, do I prefer physical media, that's the written word, over digital media, despite digital being cheaper? like tapes and CDs. You're talking to somebody who grew up, with LPs and little vinyl discs. So I like digital. Why? I think we have a far greater choice in digital. When I want to exercise, I just turn on my phone and I just go to Google Music and decide what genre of music I want to listen to, or maybe which singer I want to listen to while I exercise. And by the way, have any of you noticed that if you're doing any sort of elliptical or anything else type exercise, doing it to music sure beats just watching television. I have mine set up in front of my television, or in line of sight of my television in my bedroom. But what I find is that exercising to music, the time goes by so much more quickly. Why? Because I'm singing. I hope nobody's listening, but I'm actually singing. I know the words to those songs, right? So I am busy singing away on my air glider, and I don't even notice I'm doing it. And the next thing I go, oh, that's one song done, right? And a song is normally about 3 minutes. So I try and do at least 2 songs twice a day. And, I just wondered if anybody else had found that I found. Jody will probably attest to this as well. I found that I have a Wii, W-I-I, a Wii machine, and I like walking to one of the Wii programs better than just walking in place watching television. And I think it has to do with the sound and the visual at the same time. When you're doing that walking program on the Wii, it has a little dog you can follow, and it yaps and it turns around and looks at you every so many seconds, and depending on how fast you're walking. And what I find interesting is, but it also has the footsteps. You can hear the footsteps, so there's a rhythm to it. And I think there's something about doing exercise to rhythm. How many of you run? You're a lot younger than I am. Maybe you run and you run to music. And I totally get that. Really get it. By the way, Ricky's saying he's 22, or he or she, and has an LP collection. I want to tell you, if you have an LP collection, that's probably worth a lot of money today. Yes, Jody's saying the same thing. I enjoy sounds and visuals too. Yes, I think that's why I like the Wii as much as I do. That, when it's raining and I walk inside rather than outside, I find that, just walking to the Wii makes me really happy. And I always feel good afterwards. And by the way, for those of you who've been following my progress, I am still over 40,000 steps ahead of last year so far, which means I'm that much fitter than I was last year. But, I can feel that I want to do more this year. Not because I have to, because I haven't entered the marathon, or the 5K rather. I haven't entered the 5K this year because I realize I can still do it. I don't have to enter it. I just do it virtually. And so my view is I can feel that even though I am still struggling to lose the weight, but my body is definitely more fit. Now, something really strange. Patience is a virtue. You remember initially that I had a problem with my left hip, and that's when I started doing the exercise because I wanted to use and loosen up that arthritis. I noticed this year it's my right hip that I can feel when I'm walking. So obviously it needs a lot more help. Really important. I want to go back to the Olympics for a second and talk about patience. And talking about exercise. Have any of you watched the biathlon? I know it's one of Jody's favorites, but have any of you been watching the biathlon? That's where they do the cross-country skiing, and then, like that isn't bad enough, they stop and they shoot, at a target, not each other, and they shoot at a target. And then for each shot that they miss, they have to do 5 shots. And each shot that they miss, they have to do a little mini lap, as a punishment if you miss. Well, I want to tell you that they are shaking so badly when they stop to do that shooting bit that they have to actually stop breathing to shoot. All right, you can see them. They're literally like this, from exhaustion, from doing the cross country skiing, and then you'll just see them go. And if they want, they have to sort of. Sometimes they will do two, holding their breath, and then they'll take another breath and do another two. Really interesting to watch. But what amazes me is to watch them when they finish doing that event. That event, when they have finished, and I watch a lot of alpine skiing and all sorts of things, when the Olympics are on. I haven't seen another event where at the end of it, those people drop to the ground and basically are useless to mankind for about 5 minutes. They are that exhausted. So there's a lot to be said for cross-country skiing or elliptical, or in my case, gliding. All right, I glide on mine. I have an air glider that does this. It doesn't do the elliptical, but it does this. And what it's doing is it's using, actually, if you just do this, if you're capable of doing that, doesn't matter if you're standing or sitting, right? You can feel how many muscles you're using in your core by doing that, right? So really important. I got really frustrated with myself and needed a bit of patience because, as you know, I had some friends over for our delayed Christmas dinner. All right, because between the pandemic and then all sorts of other things, snow, you name it, our Christmas dinner got put back all the way to last week. But we had it, but they bought candy, a lot of candy for me. And that is my kryptonite. I do love candy. And I know I should have put it away immediately, but I didn't. And so I inhaled it. Do any of you relate? Am I the only one that inhales candy? I really admire people who can open a bag and then close it up again, for another day. I'm not that person. And of course, Yvonne and Wade always bring my favorite candy. They've known me for a long time. So I got all sorts of candy that I love. So not only did I watch my blood glucose numbers shoot up through the roof, but so did my beating up on myself. Do any of you relate to that? I had to really take a firm grip and go, hey, be patient, Sal. You're allowed to live. All right? I am allowed to live. And I now know, thanks to Jodie's teachings, Jodie, when I got diagnosed as diabetic, Jodie did a wonderful job of teaching me incredible amount of things. But one of the greatest things she taught me was, once you know what you can eat, right? Not what you can't eat. Don't concentrate on what you can't eat. Work on what you can eat and how much of it you can eat. In other words, you can eat everything as long as it's in moderation. And what I found was, I roughly know what I can eat every day. I know in the morning I can have this, and in the afternoon I can have this, and in the evening I can have this, and then before I go to bed I can have this, and I can keep my levels pretty level. But you add a couple of bags of candy in there, and I got a major problem. So now the reason I want to talk about patience is, one of the things that Jodie taught me was, if you have a bad day, oh, by the way, plus I had the, roast beef Yorkshire pudding dinner and all that stuff. So then my blood pressure went up as well, because there was a lot of sodium in that. For somebody who's daily checking their blood pressure and the, excuse me, blood glucose, I suddenly had numbers going like this, both. And then I just took a deep breath and said, you know how to correct this? Not the end of the world. You know how to correct this. So, Jodie, I really want to thank you for being a great teacher, because, it was wonderful to know that I could correct it. And I just have to be patient for about a week and eat a little more healthily. and I'll be fine. And, I was doing really well yesterday. I had a really nice, clean eating day yesterday, but then I woke up at about, I woke up and the women's hockey was on. And, I'd love to watch the Canadian hockey players. And I did go and grab some more candy. Oh, Jeannie's saying she found a great sale on chocolates for Valentine's Day. 4 pieces for 3 cents. Is that? Hang on a second. Let me just move my screen a bit here. 39 cents. Oops, hang on a second. And she put a tiny Valentine's Day's card in each, and gave the boxes from her dog. Isn't that cute? So, Jody, I would like to say that one of the important things about the patients is to learn what you can do. Right? That takes it took me a year. Obviously, not only was my blood glucose affected and my blood pressure, but then also my weight. I've been really pleased with how I've been losing weight. But let me tell you something that I've noticed. If I look at the big picture, not the small one, you remember I didn't want to do a diet because I knew that would be short term. What I wanted to do was a lifestyle change so that I could lose weight. And what I noticed was that 3 years ago, in 2018, I went from being at this weight down here, doesn't really matter what the figure is, right up to here. All right. And then I took control. This was my top point. I took control here. And then during 2019, I came down, and then come towards Christmas, I came up to about here. And then at 2020, I got all the way down here. And then towards Christmas, oops, no, that's wrong. I went to here, and then 21, and then this time at 22. But what I've noticed is if I take the peak of each one of those, there is this incredibly downward slope. So the question that I have is, did I change my lifestyle around eating? And the answer is yes. I can see what is happening. And the numbers don't lie, right? The numbers don't lie. And I look at it today, and I go the same thing as I, go for a walk this year. And I can feel that I feel different from the way that I felt this time last year. Right, Jody is saying lifestyle changes for the long term are more sustainable and always this, and that cannot always be said for diet. Yep, that diet mentality, right? And I knew that a diet mentality wasn't going to do it for me, because I don't want to be told I can't have stuff. I want to know what can I have. And quite honestly, when I could see this picture, right? When I saw this picture, I went, wow, it's working. All right. 19, 20, 21, 22. So in 4 years, that has been really quite a progression down. It doesn't feel like I have done a great deal because I keep seeing the up. But what I forgot was the ups are not going as high as they used to. And now, if this keeps going, I should be at my number one goal by the end of the summer, I think. And then I will set a new one. But the one I've been working towards for all this time, I'm going to hit it, I think, this year. Now, could I hit it more quickly by doing drastic things? Yes, but I don't want to do drastic things. I just want to learn more. And I have noticed that because of all the learning that I've been doing, I am eating very differently. All right. I was quite surprised. I had a meal of like a spaghetti bolognese yesterday, and it was probably, I'm not being funny, it probably was about that much. But it was a full spaghetti bolognese with, cheese on top and all the goodies. With extra tomatoes on top of it, fresh ones. But the actual spaghetti bolognese was that much. Now, 4 years ago, that would have been probably 5 times that amount. That would have been a serving. Right. And Jeannie's saying, I need to lose more weight, but the 5 pounds I have lost has not come back. That's a great thing. You understand? I'm down. I think I'm down another 3 this year. But the main thing is I put it back. All right. I put it back because I'm not a perfect person. But it's wonderful, Jeannie, that you've managed to take it off and not put it back. My goal this year is to get below the main goal and not bounce above it again when I do the next up. Right. And Jeannie's saying I eat more fruit. Yes. And melons and things. Yes. I'm doing the same thing. I'm adding fruit into a lot of things. As you know, I'm adding more fruit into my cooking even. Yeah, Jodie's saying the same thing. For her, a serving from years ago doesn't look anything like this, right? the serving that she has today. And of course, Jodie had the bypass surgery for her stomach, so she actually is eating like thimbles full of food. What are you up to now, Jodie? In terms of I know that you've been having a problem with your food intake, but when it's all going well, how much? And by the way, for those of you who think that having this bypass surgery, stomach bypass thing is easy, you want to hear Jodie's story. It's not easy. All right. It's not. People think it's a quick fix. It's a hard, very difficult fix. How about this one? Tolstoy, Leo Tolstoy said, the 2 most powerful warriors are patience and time. All the things that we think we have to get accomplished this year, it's not true, right? We don't have to. We may choose to, but we don't have to. All right, so Jodie is at a 1 cup of food for dinner. That's the maximum amount she is allowed. And, the important thing for us all to get from that message, Jodie, is we can survive on that. If it has the right amount of proteins and minerals and everything else, we can survive on 1 cup of, and I keep remembering that when I eat. And breakfast and lunch, 1/2 cup. Very important. Now then, I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about the Olympics. I love to watch. I don't know, for those of you who might have watched the Olympics, what's your favorite event? I must say that I found that my favorite events are the luge, the skeleton, the bobsleigh. I don't know. Oh, and the ski jump. Now I watch the ice skating and I watch, the alpine stuff, but the snowboarding is, very entertaining as well. But for some reason, it's the death-defying ones that, really get me. So I look at it, and I was looking at the skeleton. Now, in case you don't know which one is the skeleton, the luge is the one where they lie on their back with their feet at the front and then hurtle down this ice tunnel, if you like, at incredible speed. And the luge is where they do the same thing, but they're head first. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but it's like, what sort of person in their right mind, gets on a sled and hurtles down a long, windy ice tunnel, at incredible speeds. And being who I am, I went, what speeds are they getting to on those things? And I thought you'd like to know, for those of us in Canada, they get up to 140 kilometers an hour, which would be about 90 miles an hour in American. All right, now think about that. When did you last go 90 miles an hour in a car, protected with airbags and, steel frame and everything else, right? And now imagine you're doing that speed. Now, if any of you ever have driven a go-kart, right, you will know that getting down to the ground, the same speed seems much faster when you're at ground level, as opposed to sitting up in a car. Believe me, I know, I've been there. So now you're going to get on a sled and hurtle down this icy tunnel at 90 miles an hour, people, head first. What do you think? Is that a death wish waiting to happen or what? But I find that with my mentality, half the fun I have is I'm looking at something, I'm going, I wonder what speed they're doing. Oh, let me find out. I'm so grateful for, being able to research while I watch things. So I'm busy checking that out. And then, you look at it and you go, no, I wonder which is faster. And maybe I can ask you that if you have a guess, would you say that going down head first is faster than going down feet first? Or do you think that going down feet first, which is luge, is faster than skeleton, which is going down head first? What do you think? Because I had to investigate that as well. Yeah, Jeannie's saying that her late sister-in-law did curling. Yes, I've never done curling. I think I probably would be quite good at it if I had the patience, but I'd probably be too noisy. Jody's saying, I love everything about the Olympics, especially the biathlon, and then snowboarding and skating too. Yeah, it's everybody's got their own thing. Now, of course, I watch the hockey. I've got to admit, I do like watching the Canadian hockey teams. And because they're good, I just love watching. Now, Jody, I have to tell you that every time we play the USA, I have to take a sort of deep breath and go, that's my friends we're talking about now. All right, so Jody's saying she thinks that maybe head first is faster. It's all terrifying to me. It is to me as well, Jody. No, Jody, apparently aerodynamically feet first is faster, which I found interesting. But it sort of makes sense because your head is that much bigger than your feet. Well, mine is. Maybe yours isn't. So the bowling ball effect is, pretty good. Now, the other thing is, being me, I've also done the research of what are the material that they make in those suits that they seem to spray onto them. And the thing that really got me in terms of, I need to be really patient on this one. I don't know if any of you have noticed, but all those people in those speed suits, have you noticed that their hips stick out farther than their stomachs? Do any of you remember those days where your hip bones, I'm not going to turn sideways, but when your hip bones, yeah, right. And I'm going, well, there's my problem. I'm not sure if waiting in my lifetime will fix that one, but do I need to? Not really. I don't think I need to go that far, but I am definitely a lot fitter. Yes, luge is faster, Jeannie, because you're going feet first. That's what I was saying. Yeah. Yeah, Jody's saying, yeah, I'll let you know when my hips stick out farther than my stomach. But, I couldn't help but notice that, Jody. I'm looking at it and going, look at that. Her hip bones stick out farther than her stomach. Well, in fact, where is her stomach was my question. And then I went, I remember those days. Long time ago. And I love this. Croft M. Pence said, the secret of patience is to do something else in the meantime. In other words, All right, doesn't all have to be done now. I thought this was a nice quote from Simon Cowell. And he said, "My dad said to me, work hard and be patient. It was the best advice he ever gave me. You have to put the hours in." And, thinking about that, when I look at the 2018 weight and the decision I made to start looking at my lifestyle change, and that I can see this, slalom slope, if you like, of change, I felt good. Now, of course, as soon as I felt good, there was this voice in my head that went, yeah, but if you'd done this properly, you could probably be 20 pounds lighter by now. And then I remember that it took me a lifetime to stop smoking. And it's going to, what makes me think that getting rid of my craving for sugar is going to be a quick thing? No, I don't think so. I think I'll battle that all my life, quite honestly. And I saw a really, just want to get it up so I can read it, a really cute quote about my happy things. And it said, sunshine through the window. How many of you are patient enough to stand and just enjoy that for a second? Singing along with the radio. Yeah, well, I don't use the radio now, but I use my cell phone. But, I found that singing while I exercise works well, as long as nobody's listening. The first sip of coffee. Do you really have the patience to stop and just enjoy that first sip? Or in fact, any sip? Or is it something you do automatically and don't even savor the taste anymore? All right. How about talking to your animals? Now, those of you who've got pets, you know all about this one. And how many of you know that there's something completely different about getting on the floor and talking to your pet from floor level? Whenever I accidentally did something wrong to my dog, I would hit the floor and I would have this very serious conversation with my dog and say, I am so sorry. And it totally confused my dog, right? He would lie there looking at me going, what the are you doing? And then if I was so upset, that I'd hurt him by accident and that I cried, then he'd try to, have you noticed they try and pick you up? They nuzzle underneath you and try and pick you up. Incredible things. So talking to dogs, very good thing if you want to be happy. How many of you have started a book and realized you really enjoyed it? Slow down, read a book. Slow down, have the patience to read a book. Even if it's a page a day, how many of you have got into the habit of doing that? I'm going to read just one page a day. But boy, the discipline. Where would you keep that book? I know where I keep mine. Somewhere where I sit down quite regularly. So think about that. How about fluffy blankets just out of the dryer? Hi, Jenny. Good to see you. I find my duvet. There's something about curling up in bed at night, and I sit and I do a bit of planning, and I watch the Olympics out of the side, and I, do a few games and so forth. But then it's time to go to sleep. And I want to tell you, I curl into my bed and I grab that duvet and I wrap it around me. There is something so incredibly peaceful about relaxing. And I have the patience to wait for it. I used to rush to do that. Now I know I've got a process of just slowing down before I just curl up under my duvet. How about a text from your friend? Have you noticed how happy that makes you? Yeah, Jeannie's picking up on the talking to animals thing. She's saying we talk to Misty, that's her Wheaton Terrier, very often. She gets love from Daddy, kissing him, and comfort from me as she leans on me. Yes, I want to tell you, but Bean Bean used to be a big leaner. he would, and he was a big dog, right? He was 5 foot, over 5 foot from nose to tip of tail. He was a big dog. So when he stood up on my shoulders, I knew he was there. But he would lean against me, and sometimes I'd have to grab something for balance. He really thought I could hold him up. I guess I did. How about when somebody loves the same nerdy things that you like? One of the things that have absolutely surprised me, and I think Jody as well, is how many things we have in common that we didn't know about. All right, that we like the same goofy this or the same goofy that. And it really is interesting when you find that out about people. All right, so Jody's saying, I've been playing skee ball on my phone. I've always loved that. It's an arcade thing. Now I can enjoy it online, and it's good for my arthritis. Yes. Now there's going to be a lot of us going to be having a look at skee ball, Skiball. Never heard of it. Right, Jody, you can make a note so that I look it up. All right. So one of the things that I've been very patient about is my routines. All right. As you know, I really have tried to change my routines to include the things I know I need to include. And not that I want to necessarily, but I know they're needed. So now if I need to do something, it has to be part of my routine. Little things, like I know I have to take my blood pressure medication. So I actually make it in my bed. Yeah, I take the bottle, and when I make my bed, I put the bottle inside my bed. So when I pull the sheets back, all right, to get into bed, what do I see? The bottle of pills. And, it's a little routine I've got into, and it works really well. Yeah, and Jody's saying that makes me smile, Sal, finding all the things we have in common. Lionel just shakes his head and said, of course. Very patient, our Lionel. How about this? Patience and fortitude will conquer all things. All right? Your ability to just take it easy, will get you to where you want to go. I just wonder, how many people believe that I will, get back to that original weight that I was back in 2018. Some of you will have that faith and also have the patience to watch me achieve it. And some of you going, I don't really care. Now, I wanted to continue that story. You remember I said to you that silica gel, you can buy it in bulk. And when you do, it is just an incredible savings for those of you who want that. How about this one? I needed some more apple cider vinegar. I've started drinking apple cider vinegar and a little bit of sugar-free maple syrup once a day. And look at this. I'm going to talk milliliters, and don't worry about it. It's just, hang on a second. Let me get a measuring jar. All right. I should actually have a measuring jug with me more often so that I can talk to you about these things. But listen to this. 100 millimeters, which is about 1 cup, I think. I could buy a bottle of apple cider vinegar for $1.05 for about a cup, all right, per cup. But then if I bought the spiced apple cider vinegar, 2 liters of it, now 2 liters is about a quart, I think. Half a gallon. No, 4 quarts to a gallon, so 2 quarts. 2 liters. Half a gallon. Half a gallon is 2 liters. All right, so if I bought 2 liters of the spiced apple vinegar cider, I could buy it for as little as 13 cents a milliliter for 100 milliliters. So from it being $1.05 per cup, I could get it down to 13 cents per cup just by buying the spice version. How many of you are going, that's a big saving? 100 milliliters is half a cup. Okay, thanks, Jody. All right, but it doesn't really matter what the measurement is. Do you understand? It went down from $1.05 per measure all the way down to 13 cents per measure. Is that a big saving or what? Remember what I said? Yeah. Even if you ended up throwing half the bottle away, you are still saving an incredible amount of money. Yep. Just by buying the one that was spicy. Now, let's hope I like it. I'm pretty certain I will. Now, what I found out, remember the conversation about humidity? I found out that I have a humidifier in my house built in. It's in my laundry room. But I turned it on and I want to tell you, talk about reliving, history. I just saw how old that thing was. And I thought about what caused the problem with my last fire. And that was, old vents in my bathrooms. And I'm going, that humidifier machine is as old. And I don't know why I didn't feel very safe, but I thought, what I could do is I could put it on for maybe half an hour at a time while I'm, doing certain things, just to add to that. All right, Jody's saying she found a saving, all right, with dried pineapple. She found that whole rings were half the cost of the pre-diced ones. Absolutely. Isn't it amazing when you get these savings now, Jody, when you take the time to do that? Right? And my feeling of great joy this week, one of the many, was I am starting to get ready for spring. How about you guys? Are you getting ready for spring at all? All right, be prepared. Spring is on its way. If you get on your tippy toes and look over the horizon, you can just see it's starting to poke its head up there. I went for a walk this week. You remember last week I told you that I saw crocuses. I got to show you what I came across this week when I was walking. Aren't they cute little snowdrops? Now, I want to tell you that when I'm walking and I come across something like that, it totally messes with my mind because I forget about walking and I just stop and enjoy the moment. I have the patience to not worry about my pace of walking for a second. And I'm now learning to hit the pause button on my app and just go, wait a minute. Snowdrops are more important right now. Snowdrops are more important right now. So what did I do? I decided, what one thing could I do? Because, I do things one step at a time. What one thing could I do to celebrate spring in my house? And what I've decided to do, at the moment, I have throw cushions in my house. Some are white fluffy ones, and I've got one gray one. I decided I would buy just a couple of bright yellow throw cushions. And what I'm now considering is my futon at the moment has a deep red cover to it. And I'm thinking I might get a yellow, because I'll get it on Wish and not spend a lot of money. I might get a yellow cover for my futon for spring. And, and put the red one away, ready for the winter. Can you imagine how much that would change my living room, just having that amount of yellow in it? And also having yellow, I'm looking at my bed, but having yellow cushions on my bed, a couple of yellow cushions, how much will that brighten up my life? But now I'm trying to think, what color shall I do for summer? Because, that's 2 steps ahead, right? It's plan B and C. And that's interesting. What color should I do for summer? Or just maybe keep the yellow going for spring and summer. And then, go back to the colors that I have now. This is my winter palette at the moment. But, just not a huge expense, right? A couple of cushion covers. And think about the amount of difference it will make to my life. So pretty important. For those of you who are going to be joining us this evening, we're going to be talking about charcuterie boards, cheese boards, and eating finger food, maybe for the Super Bowl or even Valentine's Day. And we're going to put one or two together just so that we can see what we can do. And also to consider maybe some days not cooking a meal, but just having a really nice board of food in front of you and just pick your way through it while you watch something or whatever. And how to, keep changing it up and doing different things. So that's what we're going to be doing. And I'm going to be doing it right here so you can see the bits that we put onto it and how that works. So I'm looking forward to doing that with you. And fortunate about the water chestnuts, but I'll talk around that. In the meantime, please remember to have patience. Whatever bad habits you got into, it took you a long time to learn how to have them as a habit. It's going to take even longer to get rid of them. If we are patient, all things will come to us at the right time. They're not the time we want them, but they will come to us at the right time. And I look at it and go, be patient enough to stop and take pictures of the snowdrops. Be patient enough to make time in your day to read one page of a book. And most of all, be patient enough to forgive yourself for being human. And as I said earlier, the fact that I inhaled candy and pushed my blood sugar up was not the end of my world. It was the end of a very nice looking graph, which went from going like this to going like this, but that will come down again. And I just need to be patient and do the right things. You see, everything in moderation really does work, as long as you keep doing it most of the time. Not all of the time, just most of the time. And I think it was in the book Atomic Habits that it said, think about improving things 1% all the time. All right. If I wanted to make my kitchen 1% tidier, what would I do? All right. Where do I need to start? Just 1%, not the whole kitchen. When I thought about how could I change my house for spring, I thought about not total changes. I thought about what 1%, and I thought a couple of cushion covers will do it. And have the patience to save up. All right, this is February. I'm got it on my list to buy probably in March. All right, I will save up the money so that I can afford it. This is DearMamaSal saying, patience is a really good feeling too. Have you noticed that? When you can say, I need, it's like a stressful thing. When you go, yeah, I would like that, but I am willing to wait for it at the right time. I am willing to wait for it is a wonderful thing to do for your mental health. Yes, I would like it. And people keep saying to me, oh, but I want da-da-da. And I go, yeah, and I wanted Brad Pitt too, but I didn't get him. So, I don't think I ever will, actually. I just need to mention that. Yeah, and Jody is saying when you can do that, it's empowering to feel in control. Yeah, I definitely. You know, one of the things I wanted to tell you about, I've been trying to work on a problem for months. Months. All right. I've got a lot of space under my house, a crawl space that is accessible from the outside. My problem is I got a bad back. So can you imagine that? Yes, I've got this huge crawl space, but I can't crawl under there to put things under there. So then I started to think about it. Do you want to see what I came up with? Yeah, of course you do. Hang on a second. So I kept thinking that, wait, if I had those boxes on wheels, all right, if I had those boxes on wheels, I could push them under the house. But then how would I get them back out again? I'd have to crawl in to get them out again. And then I went, not necessarily. You know, I've been literally problem solving this for months. All right. And here's what I worked out. If I had two boxes, all I need to do is to tie rope between this and this so that when I pull the first one out, it automatically pulls the second behind it. Does that make sense? So if these are like this and joined together, they would, you know, the boxes are pretty big. But as I pull this one would automatically be pulled out with it. And if I wanted to, I could even pull the one box over there and have this box like this, and it would still pull it out with it when I pulled it out again. Stealth. Now, that is what I'm thinking. The test that I'm going to do is, do the boxes slide off here? And if so, do I need to glue them to the rollers? All right. I'm hoping not, because these rollers are actually quite useful. And then I thought, yes, I could have made them myself. They're pretty simple. But quite honestly, why would I? When these are beautifully made and better like this. So that's come the spring, I will be opening up under my house and doing the boxes that I bought big containers for all the Christmas decorations. They're the first ones to go under the house. Now, the next thing I'm saving up for, I know it sounds strange, is the string that will join these together, and then the long string that I will have coming to the exit. Makes sense? But you know, I literally hit a problem like that, and I don't try to fix it immediately. What I do is I have it in my system, and then every now and then I revisit it, and I go, yeah, I haven't got the answer to that yet, have I? Well, let me think, what could I do? And then what would work? You know, and I just do that, and I will think about it for a while, and then I'll leave it for weeks or so, and then suddenly it'll come back in my system, and I go, yeah, how am I doing on that? Have I got that fixed yet? And so to me, taking the time, having the patience to take the time, I come up with some pretty good solutions for things that I want to get solved. All right. And as you saw, all right, one of the problems I had last year is I kept killing off my seedlings because I forgot to water them. This year, I have got all my seedlings being self-watered. And the good news is it means I can just water once a week and know that my seedlings are safe. Right? How simple was that? Self-watering pots. And and just squashing a tomato that was in my fridge. This is DearMamaSal going one step at a time. Have joy in your successes. Have patience to stop and enjoy. Slow down. We'll see you this evening. Bye-bye for now. Thanks, Jody.